Have you ever had a thought turn into a rabbit hole?
We're here to help.
I'm Kyle,
I'm Connor.
and welcome to Deeper Perspective.
Yo, is that on?
Slytherin, anyways.
Is that what he's part of, Slytherin?
No.
I don't really know anything about Harry Potter. What do those different houses mean? I've always wondered that.
Yeah, so the different houses, basically there was like four like great wizards, right? And they started Hogwarts. So it's
Okay.
Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw,
Slytherin.
Gryffindor, and Slytherin.
Okay.
So Voldemort was really Tom Riddle, and he came from Slytherin house, or when he was in Slytherin, became the biggest dark wizard of all time.
Okay, yeah, I know Voldemort's the big
Yeah.
OG, the big dog.
And he's apostle mouth, which means that he could talk to snakes, right? Harry's also apostle mouth. So when the
so
sorting,
they can both talk to snakes.
they can both talk to snakes. So when Harry is basically like going throughout his day, or not going going throughout his day, basically Harry when he gets up to the sorting hat, for them to choose houses, the sorting hat, it's like a talking magical hat, and it puts you in a house. It was like, you kind of seem like a Slytherin to me. So like,
So Harry's a Slytherin.
Harry would have been a Slytherin, but he was like, no, I want Gryffindor. And the sorting hat put him in Gryffindor. But naturally, he'd be like a Slytherin,
Naturally.
probably.
So is that like a bad thing? Would that make him like a snake?
No.
How does that work?
No, it's just like dark, like, they're just like dark bad wizards that are on
Oh,
Slytherin.
okay.
Like, and Harry just like didn't want to be a part of
It's
it.
like the Kappa Sigma. Of,
Yeah. Of fraternities.
Yeah, it's like a...
Alright guys, welcome to the Tea House. I'm Kyle.
I'm Connor.
And this is the first episode of Deeper Perspective.
We're super stoked to be sitting here with you right now. It's 8:49 in the morning. You know what they say, early bird catches the worm.
Absolutely. And sometimes like when I wake up earlier, it's just a better way to start my day. Actually, most times.
Most times. Yeah, most times you never regret waking up early except for the first like 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And then after those first 10 minutes, you're like, wow, I like thanks myself because I got more done today. And,
Oh
like,
yeah. Yeah, you get a lot more done when you wake up early. It's kind of insane. I mean, it makes sense. Makes sense, right? There's only so many hours in a day.
That's true. And it's kind of crazy. So like in our sales job, or like a sales internship I did, we actually pop out of bed at 5:59 and take a cold shower. But like the way you start your day is kind of like how the rest of your day is going to go. And if you like make hard decisions right away, you're probably going to be more successful.
Yeah, and just like even, getting everything jump started a little bit quicker. You get your
Absolutely.
first set of victories quicker than you would if you waited till, you wake up at 10. You don't have your first victory until about 11. But I
That's
feel like
true.
when you wake up at 8, right? Like to get out of bed at 8 and get going, you have to have something going on. So you get a lot
You
more
have to
done.
have a mini victory, whether it be making like coffee or whether it just be like getting your clothes on right away.
Exactly.
And like
yeah.
not hitting snooze on the alarm.
Yeah, like this morning it was getting the clothes on right away,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyways, Connor, we're actually here for the first time, and I'm really excited for this channel, but I guess like our viewers are probably wondering like, what the hell is this thing? And,
I would be wondering the same thing too, yeah.
I guess, do you kind of want to give them like a little rundown of what we're doing here?
Yeah, so basically our goal is to be, your source for those 2 a.m. late night thoughts, right? If you're ever wondering like, will cryptocurrency dominate the world? We're here to help you with that.
Like, is Dogecoin gonna actually blow up?
Is GME even worth it to invest in?
Is
Yeah.
is GameStop? Are these Reddit investors really gonna hold out against Wall Street?
Yeah. But it's not just financial, right? But it's a little bit of everything. Our goal, is to just explore the lesser thought of topics. See what's going on
Absolutely. So basically what I'm thinking is just discovering a bunch of different topics that people don't really know anything about and having guests that know a ton about those topics.
Exactly. Sometimes they might not even know a ton about it. Sometimes they might be along for the journey as well.
Yeah, and I know we were talking about this earlier. We were talking about rabbit holes, and honestly, like rabbit holes come up so much in my life because I'm one of those thinkers. You know, like I like thinking about things.
Those overcomplicators.
Exactly, and like sometimes a thought really does turn into a rabbit hole, and I'm like, okay, like I wonder what the grocery store industry really is if I were to dig deep and where Kellogg's actually stands, what their farms look like, what's the relationship between the CEO and the CFO. Like, you know, like I wonder about those things, and it's kind of cool to actually just dive deep and figure it out.
I would totally agree with that. I would totally agree with that. We have a slew of, or an array of content coming.
An array of content.
With an array of content creators and knowers about things, you know?
Absolutely, and I know we have a really good episode coming up here with a very special guest. It's already recorded, so
yeah, it's gonna be fun.
yeah, and I have a few guests that I'm talking to as well, and it's gonna be good because the more involvement that we get here, the more we're gonna be able to bring out just like the guests that know a lot of cool things that might just be interesting to know.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Exactly, yeah. And we're super excited to take this journey with you guys. And
Yep.
you know, we've been putting our tender love and care into this, treating it like it's a little plant, growing it.
A little plant. We water it every day, change the soil, kind of like changing a diaper.
Yep. That's what we do. What would be the diaper equivalent of electronic stuff? You know, that's not important.
It's not important
Let's
at
just
all.
pretend I didn't say that.
Dude, so have you ever like walked into a room at a restaurant and you've always thought like, okay, like there's a ton of people in here, right? How much money's actually in the room? Like who has money in their wallet? How much cash is in the room? If we all pool together, can we actually buy a mansion?
I bet that there's like certain places you go into have different averages, right?
Yeah.
If I walk into, you know, Mike and Rhonda's diner in Flagstaff versus walking into like the lumber yard, I bet there's gonna be more money in the lumber yard than Mike and Rhonda's, right? Bigger pool of money, more expensive
It makes
dinner.
sense, yeah. More expensive dinner, and you're buying drinks too. Mike and Rhonda's, you might buy drinks, but you know, like whenever there's booze, people bring the dough, right?
Totally, yeah.
But I know we were talking about this kind of earlier, but wouldn't it be kind of like cool if everyone had like this bar on their head and it showed their wealth? So every time you walk out on the street, everyone has this like virtual bar that's just coming up that shows you like how successful they really are.
Yeah, you know, it'd be. Do you think like people who are super rich would just stay out of the public then?
I really do, because I think like what we've seen with all the riots and all the like, you know, parades and crazy stuff this year, I would not be surprised if like, yeah, like if you have like 3M up on your head over there on your bar,
Someone's coming for you.
somebody's coming for you. Yeah, like you're gonna get mugged. You can't go out in public, and like especially for like celebrities, it would kind of be like, for celebrities it might be weird because like say like they're well known. But what if a celebrity's actually like low key broke? like, nobody really was like expecting them to be broke. Like, wouldn't that be kind of crazy?
Oh yeah, you look at Johnny Depp and he's down like $3 million. Like, what did you do, man? How did you lose all your money? That'd be super funny. It's like breaking news: Kim Kardashian's bar is down to $100,000.
That'd be good. Or like if like for example like, you know, Trump like claims to have $3 billion or whatever. What if he had like 3 million? Like, what if he was like really broke and you just like nobody knows about it?
Yeah, that would be pretty crazy.
Yeah,
that would have spiced things up.
That would spice things up. And honestly, my bar is not looking too good right now. If I were to have one,
My bar is very sad. My bar is very sad.
a sad bar, but I could still get like, you know, some food. we're surviving.
We're surviving. We're surviving enough to, you know, be happy.
Exactly. Money doesn't buy happiness, and it's kind of weird. What I've learned.
Money doesn't buy happiness, but it raises your quality of misery.
Oh, well, could you go into that a little bit more? I kind of want to like hear what that stands for. That was kind of cool.
Well, like how do I explain it? Like, if you have, it's better to cry in a Lamborghini than a Toyota. You know what I mean?
But you're still crying.
You're still crying, but wouldn't you rather cry in nice heated leather seats?
I guess so, but like if you think about it, like the more successful and the more money you get, like the more messed up things people do, because like in a way, getting a lot of money is you're manipulating people below you to get what you're providing. So in a way, like yeah, like power gets to people's heads, right? Like Epstein probably wasn't like a child sex slave ring like operator and like running this huge illegal criminal activity if he didn't have millions of dollars and he wasn't at that point in life, like it probably
that's true but
he was probably bored.
Normally I'd agree with you, right? Because I do think you look at the Stanford prison experiment, you give people power and they will use it. Doesn't matter if you're a kid in high school or if you're whatever it is.
True.
But like, Epstein, that's some different level shit right there. Like, you don't just,
Yeah, but like
you don't have like $1 billion and be like, I'm gonna start fucking around with kids. Normal person wouldn't do that. So
I don't think it's necessarily the money. I think it's more the idea of like Epstein was like, okay, like I have a ton of money. I like basically am above the law, so I can do whatever the hell I want, and I'm probably gonna get away with it. So like his mind probably just became like more sinister because he like knew he could get away with it.
That's how those people think though. Like I have so much power, I can get away with it.
I don't know though. I don't know because some of them might, and some of them might just be that messed up beforehand.
See, because I think it's got to be partially being messed up beforehand because.
There has to be a mixture of
you don't just wake up one day as a billionaire and be like, I'm going to start buying and trading kids. That's not a rational.
It's not. But
do you
when you have that much money and you could get out of anything criminal.
I wonder if it's the club that they're in, right? Like I wonder if that's like the thing with that
secret society or like like it's that peer group because I mean, honestly, have you seen that BBC interview where they had Prince Andrew come on?
Oh, it's bad.
Yeah, he's like sweating when they're asking him about this one girl that like gave him sex allegations, and it's crazy because him, Epstein, Bill Clinton, Trump, they've all had ties together before, and it's like these are some of the most prominent people in the world. Like 2 presidents are like a part of that friend peer group at one point.
That's all we know of. That's the worst part. That's all we know of. We don't really know, who's out there actually still doing this stuff. We have a flight list. That doesn't tell us who was.
I think Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison, but I'm pretty sure. Like I was reading up on this stuff, and I was
shocked she didn't get suicided. Honestly,
no, and I also think that they let her keep like millions of dollars in these bank accounts from the whole ordeal. Craziness.
What?
And the millions of dollars, here's the crazy part is there was some bank that sought out after Epstein. I can't remember which bank it was, but they basically like after he was like going to jail and he got out the first time, there was a bank on Wall Street that wanted him as a client. That's how messed up it is. Because it's like that there was illegal activities going on through bank accounts.
That's crazy.
Where these super rich people like Prince Andrew, like yeah, they could just give like $3 million to Epstein. He does all the dirty work, and then a young girl ends up for their fucking twisted whatever. Like it's gross.
They ended up saying the Wayfair thing wasn't true, right?
What was that?
Like where I think it's Wayfair was selling really expensive furniture with names. It'd be like, some weird name. And so everyone was like, oh, they're selling children on that website.
That's kind of wild.
They're buying expensive furniture as a front for buying kids.
Yeah. Dude, it's kind of weird because like kind of like on a tangent of like the sex slave trade for kids, right? Like yeah, like that furniture store might have been doing that, and like who actually knows?
It's totally possible.
It could have been debunked. Who knows?
Well, Pizzagate, right?
Pizzagate, yeah, that was a weird one too.
That's a good one.
But here's the thing. So like Vegas has the only I think it's the only the only brothel that, or like, it's kind of like you could go pay for sex basically. Like it's the only one that you could do it in the entire United States.
Ooh, that's gross.
And I think it's called like Haraz or something.
Those strippers got to be dirty.
Yes, no, but here's the thing: is like they're like all college educated. They're all like it's so weird. I watched a documentary on this. They're all like college educated. They're like sophisticated girls that have like their degrees and stuff. And they say that basically it's safer for prostitution to actually become legal, because with prostitution being illegal, you can't report it if like some dude stabbed you, or you can't report that like this happened or this happened because you were doing an illegal activity.
I mean, the bottom line is everything would be safer if it was legal. If all drugs were FDA approved and FDA regulated, obviously the FDA has its issues, right?
Yeah.
But you know, if I could go to the store and buy a bag of meth, it's probably going to be less deadly than if I buy it from, Bob down the street just selling
That's
it out
true.
of his trailer.
That's true. And like, honestly, like think about how many thousands of people are killed every single year by the cartel. And like those lives would be saved from just simply not having drugs come across the border. Doing a little digging and research over here.
Call me Jamie.
Connor Hines. We're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll give you guys a few slides and some random clips. Let's go. Mitch couldn't find a fork, so he grabbed 2 nails. Chopstick game. You! Connor's a numbers man.
I like numbers. Fun fact, 19.7 million American adults, which is weirdly considered age 12 and older, have battled substance abuse. You know, for 12%, right? And 1 out of every 8 Americans struggles with alcohol or drugs. So, like, consider the amount of people doing drugs and alcohol, right? Like that thing.
Yeah.
And all of it's illegal. So, like, for all this stuff to get here, excuse me, for all this stuff to get here,
yeah,
someone has to legally make it and bring it in. And that's sketch. True. That's sketch as hell.
That's really sketch, but here's the thing you gotta think about. If we make it legal, we can't just make it legal. Like, we have to have, there has to be, like, a reform. Like,
think about how Oregon did a great job.
Yeah. You come to buy some meth at the meth dispensary, right? That sounds kind of crazy.
That is crazy sounding, yeah. You
buy meth at the meth dispensary, there has to be, like, some sort of, like, social programs that they're like, here's your meth, and also like check out our page because we have some programs of rehab.
Well, you know how Oregon's doing it, right?
How are they doing it?
They legalized, or they didn't legalize, but they decriminalized all drugs. And if you get caught with drugs, it's like don't quote me on this, like $200 fine, and then you have to go sit in to like an AA meeting or rehab.
Interesting.
Which I think is a good way to do it. Like,
it's not bad
because drug use, people who are addicted to illegal drugs are addicted. Addiction is it's a problem. Addiction is more than just like, oh, look at that filthy druggie. Like, these people cannot.
It's like a lifestyle based on the substance. Like,
and it's because they're in the rabbit hole. It totally changes the chemical structure of the brain. So these people are like, they're hooked. And I don't think sending somebody who's hooked on drugs to jail is
not jail, but offering more treatment.
Offering them treatment, yeah. It needs to be more of a social program instead of just throwing them in prison and locking the key.
What if they made this like a catchy phrase, and it's like, here's your meth, now go to rehab. And it's like some like weird commercial or something.
Smoking the meth outside of the rehab right before you go in.
Yeah, just
here you go, Johnny. Here's your final hit of meth.
Like, I mean, they would have to figure out the dosages, and I think this is one of those like diplomatic matters that makes it really hard to make all drugs legal. Is the fact of like
the dosages.
Yeah, is the fact of like if a dispensary sells heroin to someone and it's a legal business and they OD,
then that's
who's liable for that?
Who's liable? Yeah.
Like, I would think it would be the person, but there would have to be some disclosure agreement, or there would have to be something covering the dispensary because.
I mean, I'm sure, right? If I go into a heroin dispensary, I have to sign a waiver before I leave, saying, "Oh yeah, by the way, I'm not going to distribute this, and I'm not going to. If I overdose, it's my problem." Like when you go into a pot store, right?
That's true. Yeah.
I'm from California. In California, when I was 18, I used to go to these places called churches because I didn't want to go buy my med card. And you go in. The way these churches work, I miss these churches, by the way. Please come back if my fellow dispensary people listening. But so you go in, you're donating money and receiving sacrament in return, right? So it's a church. They don't have to pay taxes on it. But you sign a waiver saying like, I'm like, this is legal. You sign a waiver saying I am getting sacrament. And then you say, I will not distribute this to anybody. But the caveat is...
And they give you marijuana and...
They'd sell me weed. Yeah, they'd sell me weed. But, the caveat of that is I couldn't... So, like, right, you know how if you go into a dispensary, they're like, would you like a dab or a pre-roll?
Yeah.
They wouldn't give you anything that you could, like, go outside and smoke with. So I couldn't buy lighters, pipes, joints. But they'll give me a fucking dab before I'm about to drive back home.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so
this is weird. And this is a church?
It's technically a church. Like they file
This
as a
sounds
church.
crazy.
It's crazy. They were illegal. I'm pretty sure they've all been shut down by now.
Speaking of churches, have you seen the Westboro Baptist Church?
No, but hold on.
Yeah.
Like,
All right, go on.
they give you a dab before you get in a vehicle to drive, bro. But they won't sell you a pre-roll. They you to go smoke somewhere else. Does that not seem whack to you?
That sounds ridiculous. And like I feel like things like that, like that's not just like common in drugs. Like there's like some weird rules around things, right?
Yeah.
Like,
but could you imagine you go to a bar, right? You win something and they're like, oh, okay, here's the choice. You can either take a shot before you go home, or you can take a cocktail to go with you. And it's like, oh, well, you don't qualify for the cocktail.
Think about this. For some reason, when it's for religious purposes, things are legal. And when it's not for religious purposes, they're not. So, like,
no, you're
for
totally
example, like the church, like, aren't you supposed to drink the wine? Like if you're a kid,
that's true.
And it's like what, you're like 10 or 11, you're drinking wine, like dude, you're 11 years away from it being legal for you.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me. But I guess like that, the church does some weird things, man.
I went to a weird church. Do people actually drink wine as part of communion? Is that like a...
Dude, honestly, like I don't go to church ever, so like that's one thing I like don't really know much about. But that's why I was kind of asking you and seeing if you knew.
My brother is he's been through like all the alcohol and addiction shit and all the rehab stuff, and so he picked a Addicts Anonymous church. Okay. So they don't do alcohol. They do grape juice.
That's really funny.
Yeah, they do grape juice. They don't do alcohol. Because that would set off like that would send like 100 people to relapse if they did alcohol.
Oh, dude, it would be a disaster. There would be like 20, 30, 50 DUIs coming out of the place. Yeah. Like people would probably go get a flask right away. Is this a church
or a bar? What the fuck?
Dude, in this capitalistic system, it's so weird how it's like if it's for a religious purpose, like,
it's fine.
But like
fine.
if it's like a business,
do what you want.
If it's a business doing it, it's like you guys sell to a minor, you're shut down.
Yeah.
Like sorry.
I feel like COVID was one of the first times I can personally remember where like churches, were facing, they weren't exempt from the same things that most public is. Like, a church can't just host a 500-person gathering because Jesus, they can't do that.
Yeah, no, that's really weird actually to think about.
Yeah.
Like who just like gave churches the overlord rule of like doing things? Sorry for saying lord. Why did churches get all these like side exceptions that other places don't? So like COVID happened and then churches like, yeah, like we're still gonna just have like a ton of people come by and like we're like some churches shut down. Like some churches were doing online. Mm-hmm. Like and then now
this place church did that.
But when we first started opening up, churches were like the first ones to have like crowds again.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
Sports games couldn't do it. Like the NFL was like scrutinized. Like it wasn't happening in other sectors.
I feel like we should shelve this topic because I think we should investigate this one further. Like
Yeah.
We should. Who do you think we should have on here to talk about it? Like, I'm thinking like a Christian pastor.
A Christian pastor or someone that's very, very like knowledgeable about like the Bible, religion,
Well,
churches.
So I mean, we could get someone who's knowledgeable about it. Guys, comment in the description the type of person we need to get.
All right, we could go on and on, but
On and on.
but guys, unfortunately, we don't want to keep you guys here forever because it might get a little boring.
Yeah, we don't even have guests on yet. It's just us idiots rambling.
But thanks for tuning into the first episode.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
And actually, if you go down in the description, we have our Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook page linked. And that's actually where all of our fans can like stay tuned with what we're doing, new episode ideas, help us out with like if they want to be a guest or if they might know of something that we should talk about.
Mm-hmm. We're always looking for comments. If you want to come on the show, we'll figure it out.
Might be some dumb videos, some undeep perspective stuff.
Some dumbass perspective stuff.
That's gonna be a different series that we haven't really mentioned yet, but you know, things are in the works. So
Things are in the works. There's more going on behind than it may appear.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't forget to hit the bell and like and subscribe so you get notifications about when we drop new videos.
Yep. And if you are coming over from Instagram or Twitter, make sure to go follow those pages. Once again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And this is Kyle.
This is Connor.
And we are signing off.